This will be the reading for the sign of Aries for the month of September 2026. The deck that I'm using is the Rider-Waite deck by Pamela Coleman Smith and Arthur Waite. And what I've done is I've pulled 3 cards for each consecutive week and an overall energy card that will in turn affect each card and every card that is pulled within each consecutive week. So it makes it a long reading. Put your feet up, grab the cat, the dog, a coffee, whatever it may be that's going to relax you, maybe even a pen and a piece of paper, and jot down some dates or some ideas. So, your energy card. Your energy card's not the greatest one that I've seen in the deck, okay? Because you have the Nine of Cups reversed, and that says you're not going to get your wish at this point. It doesn't mean you're never going to get it, just you're not going to get it now. Now, it also talks about overindulgence. Maybe you've been a little bit, selfish with the butter tarts. You know what I'm saying? It does talk about a lack of appreciation for the things in your life. And it does say that you have to be creative to get the right energies and motion within the month of September. Now, perhaps you're the type of person that's content with an introverted lifestyle, maybe a few friends, and you don't like to go out, you don't like to party, and you don't like to get involved in society at large. Now, be aware that this is a wish card. And as I said, it doesn't necessarily mean you're not going to get your wish. It does say, however, it might be delayed. So we're going to move into the first couple of days of that first week. And you got the Wheel of Fortune reversed. Geez, everything's reversed for you. It does say that change is coming, okay? And you need to prepare. You need to prepare for the changes that are coming into your life, okay? They may be unexpected. It also talks about being disorientated. Something is coming to fruition at this point in time and possibly coming to a natural ending, okay? It does talk about you having to relearn something. And growth is going to come from a circumstance that possibly you wish didn't happen. You wouldn't have wanted to happen. It does talk about second chances. It talks about improving your relationships and even financial problems that are happening within the couple of first days of September. It talks about a wave of layoffs. And of course, if your job is laying off employees and you're on the cutting line, okay, that is going to affect you. But it does say that you are concerned about the possibility of losing financial prowess in your life. Now, it talks about instability and insecurity. You're feeling despaired at this point in time, okay? And you feel discouraged. You're anticipating the other shoe dropping. First couple of days of September, it's like you're anticipating the negativity, okay? You're anticipating negatives happening, but the truth is they very well might be, but know that the divine only gives you as much as you can handle. And when it gets down to the crunch, you will be protected. You will be brought forward in a more successful way. So we're going to move into the middle 2 days of that first week. Dang, you got the Lover's card reversed, okay? And that talks about the fact that maybe you made the wrong choice in love, an unsatisfactory choice, okay? So it could talk about a breakup or a divorce, maybe even quitting a job. As I said, you're getting laid off, or maybe you're getting less hours. And so you say, I can't afford that. I have to survive. And, maybe you decide, you know what, I'm going to quit this job with less hours and I'm going to look for a job where I'm going to get more hours. So there's changing dynamics all around you in that first week. And don't forget, something has to end in order for something good to come through, okay? So the next card that you have is the King of Pentacles, and it's straight up. And that is an earth sign. Yeah, that's an earth sign. It could be an authority figure, a boss, a mentor, a brother, a husband, a romantic partner, whatever it may be. It is an authority figure, someone who might be, it could be your boss. It could be, someone who's in charge, a teacher. It could be a doctor, okay? Someone with a lot of authority and a lot of know-how. Now, if it's a paternal figure, okay, this is the type of person who's not going to take no flack. It could be your boss. Maybe he's saying, I'm giving you less hours, and you're saying, well, if you give me less hours, I'm going to quit. And he says, okay, there's your walking papers, there's the door. So he expects obedience. He expects you to do exactly what he wants you to do. He's a good provider, and he will give you the work if the work is warranted, and he will pay for the work if the work is done well, okay? But it's almost like he's guiding you, he's mentoring you, okay? And he wants you to show pride in your work, okay? And he wants to respect you for that hard work that you're putting in by paying you an appropriate wage. But you're at odds with this individual. You're saying, look at, I can't afford for you to cut my hours. I can't afford to take a pay break. Okay, I can't afford it. And he's saying, basically, these guys are going at it, and you're saying, like, if you give me less hours or less work, I'm gonna have to quit. I don't want to, but I will have to. Okay, so this individual would be the type of person that, they take pride in their work. They take pride in themselves and their family. And if it's a paternal figure or someone, maybe a grandfather, an uncle, a father, a brother, okay? Someone who has that type of mentorship to you. They want you. They want you to enjoy your work, but they also want you to put effort into it, to be proud of it, to say, to feel accomplished, okay? And so that's what you're dealing with in that first week, but I'm seeing it heading down the road. Now, it also talks about wanting to get involved in outdoor activities, okay? Maybe you want to take a vacation, and maybe your boss is saying, I can't spare you at this point in time. Maybe you want to take your kids snowmobiling or fishing or hunting or camping or biking, whatever it may be, but you want to take vacation so you can spend time with them. And your boss is saying, I don't think so. I don't think so. Not this year. And you're saying, well, I've been working really hard. I put a lot of pride in my work, and if I don't get time off, I'm heading down the highway anyway, right? Now, this individual, this could also be a banker. It could be a manufacturer, a boss, as I said, a fundraiser, someone in real estate, someone in retail, even in food production or management, in that management hierarchy, okay? They're simple in their dress and in their behavior, but they have a lot of luxuries in their life, so they're not hurting. And so they're kind of saying to you, if you want what I have, you're going to have to put a little bit more effort in. Okay, so now we are in the second week. In the second week, you have the Four of Pentacles reversed. And that talks about material things. They mean shit to you. They don't mean anything to you. So you might be concerned about your security and your well-being, okay? But at this point in time, you don't really care. You need a break. You want to spend time with your family. You want to spend time with the people that you love, and you're working too much. And you're having to overwork. You're having to overwhelm yourself with work because maybe your hours were cut back, and so you're having to pad it up some way. Maybe you took a part-time job or a second job in order to accommodate the bills that you have. But it does talk about a lack of privacy or maybe even materially poor conditions at home. If you're the only one that's stepping up to the plate to pay the bills, buy the groceries, pay the rent, pay the mortgage, it's going to get tight on you. And it's going to create problems for you. Now, you have a fear of letting go of an old job, maybe your past employment, maybe where your boss has said, we can't spare you for vacation. You want it, but you're scared to talk back. You're scared to take that time off, okay? Because you're scared to lose that job. And it talks about a vehicle, and it talks about payments, okay? You're scared not to be able to make the payment because you don't think that you'll be able to up the ante at all. You're not sure if you can afford to buy another car if you let the payments go on this car. You're not sure if you can afford to, buy another house if you let the payments go on this house, okay? So it does talk about the loss of resources that you're counting on, job, maybe your car. Your car breaks down, you don't have the funds to fix it. Your roof is leaking, the equipment you need breaks, okay? Maybe you lost your phone or it was stolen, you can't afford to get another one. So you're needing that extra money to fix this situation in your life. And that's why you're putting the effort in, but it's starting to wear on you. Well, thank goodness that part is over. That's the first 2 days of the second week. As you move into the middle of that second week, okay, the middle couple of days, finally, you have, revamped your energy, and you're starting to get more involved in things. Okay, you have a lot of things going on, and you're enjoying the busyness of your life. Okay, you have the strength to move forward. You're being your own advocate. You're standing up for yourself. And maybe you stood up against your boss and said, look it, I did all this extra work. I deserve a pay raise. Or I deserve some extra work hours. I deserve some type of accolades. Okay, and that's what's taking place. You're standing up for yourself. It also talks about you getting involved in possibly community work, okay? You seem to be like putting your hand in everything. You're interested, you're open to new activities, new events, new friendships, okay? New relationships, yeah. New jobs. Maybe you're vying to get into this part-time job that you were only taking casual hours at. Maybe now you're opting to get full-time hours with them. You're ready to move on to bigger and better, Libra. Last couple of days of that second week, fire sign female, okay? Aries, Leo, or Sagittarius. Very confident, self-assured, very passionate. Passionate is the word. Determined, special, charismatic, vivacious, and even optimistic. So you're dealing with extreme focus. This individual has come into your life, and they are literally dragging you to the helm, okay? They're willing to be by your side. They're willing to stand by you. And it does talk about you and this individual, this female fire sign, planning a major accomplishment. This could be a career move. It could be moving up the corporate ladder. It could be a job offer from a fire sign female who owns her own business. It also talks about possibly a romantic inclination, okay? So if you're of whatever persuasion, this could be a romantic interest. But it is a female, just be aware of that. Now, it talks about watching your finances. Invest any extra money that you have and save. Don't become a spendthrift, okay? Don't spend money just to impress somebody, okay? Now, it does say that there will be success in this relationship, but you're having to be very, very self-determined, just so that you're not held back by any feelings or emotions that you have toward this fire sign individual. So, take your time. Don't jump in the helm full force, okay? Take your time and get to know this individual as a person. So we're in that third week, and you have the Five of Swords straight up. And that talks about stimulation seeking behavior. So getting involved in something that's going to give you a little bit of conflict. You just pulled away from this kind of stuff, and now you're jumping right back into it. So it does talk about disruptive events. It talks about possibly an abrupt break with the past, and that could very well be with work, with a previous relationship, with a previous situation, living environment, whatever it may be. Now, you're becoming more assertive, and you're willing to take on those challenges, and you're going after new opportunities. So Aries, this is a perfect avenue for you, okay? Whatever this new job is, it's taking you down that road where success waits at the end. Now, it also talks about energy being expelled towards some type of competition. So are you getting involved in a sporting activity? Are you signing up for, I don't know, soccer, football, badminton, some type of sport where you can let your hair down, so to speak, where you can get rid of some of your anxieties? Maybe even taking up boxing or Tai Chi or yoga. Now, as we're moving forward, okay, you're in that third week, and in that third week, you're moving into that third week with a lot of questions. You got a lot of questions about a relationship in your life, okay? You're questioning, is this the one? Is this where I belong? Should I be in this relationship? Is this relationship viable to my life, okay? But you're finding out someone's true character. So is it your romantic interest? Or is it someone in your family? Is it a friend, a coworker, an ex-boss? Someone who's kind of maybe, bitching up a storm. Maybe they're feeling, a little bit negative towards you because you walked away from a job and they thought you would be there forever, right? Prove them wrong, didn't you? It could even be a friendship that you have decided to cut because that individual was not reciprocal, okay? It was like you were giving, 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 and they were kind of taking, taking, taking. Yeah. Now, it does say that you're going to test yourself. You're going to try new things, try new abilities. You're going to manage conflict very well. But Aries, you're questioning yourself. You're questioning your beliefs. Do you really want to do this? Is this really something that you want to be involved in? But it does say that you might be feeling excluded from society in some way, okay? And you want to be included more in activities and environments and in socializations and in relationships. You want to be part of the wide world at large, okay? Now, it does say that you need to connect mentally with someone in your circle of energy because you need their support in some way. So we're going to move into the third week. And in that third week, you have the High Priestess. And that talks about looking at the truth, okay? You're seeing the truth about someone, yourself or someone else, or even patterns in your behavior or patterns in the world at large. Your intuition is telling you in what direction to look because you're finding out a hidden truth. Now, have you found out that a partner has been disloyal to you in some way, whether it's romantic or business or financial, okay? Something, you're finding out the truth and you're feeling very deeply. You're shocked. You're shocked. You never believed that this individual would turn away from you. You never believed that they would lie to you, that they would be disloyal to you in any way. Could be a work friend. It could be a romantic partner. It could be a family aspect to it, okay? Now, you're very, very spiritual. You're thinking very deeply in this third week, okay? You're feeling very deep feelings, but you're keeping them to yourself. You're not letting anyone know. And you might even be dealing with hidden resentments towards someone in your life. Maybe you're pulling away from this relationship because they did something. Maybe they cheated on you. Maybe they were disloyal to you. Maybe they lied to you about something. And so that kind of, that broke the trust, right? But it does say that you're going to look to the past for some type of answer. You're possibly going to meet a new partner, whether it's a business partner, whether it's an acquaintance, could be a mentor, a friend, a romantic partner, a mate, right? A teacher. You are going to find an environment where you fit, and where you feel secure. The 3 S's, stability, security, and serenity, are very important. Now, someone's keeping a secret. Someone's lying to you. They're keeping a secret. They're not letting you know the truth. And it does talk about your intuition is waking you up in the middle of the night and you're having these very vivid dreams and you wake up and you don't remember them all, but you remember the gist of it and you wake up feeling full of anxiety and fear, right? That's your intuition telling you, hey, Libra, something's going on here. Or Aries, something's going on here. Sorry about that. Okay, we're in the last week. In that last week, you have the Queen of Cups straight up. So, someone's pregnant. Yeah. Maybe your partner, if you're a male, female, or other, someone in that dynamic is pregnant. Or maybe someone in that dynamic is starting something new, a new job, a new school program, a new area, moving to a new environment, becoming a new person in some way, okay? It does talk about fulfillment in relationships, especially with a water sign individual, Pisces, Cancer, or Scorpio. They're very approachable. They're very responsive, and you would have a very spiritual relationship with them, okay? They're a good listener, and they understand you. You don't even have to speak, and they seem to understand what you're thinking, right? Now, it also talks about larger social influences, and it is affecting ideologies, okay? Perhaps women's rights. There is going to be a clash of ideologies in your circle of energy. Now, Aries, you're going to fight against this, or is this you? Do you have certain ideologies against gender-based factions that, you're holding firm by and you're not willing to compromise? You're not willing to be open-minded, okay? And that's going to bring about conflict in your relationships, in your environment. It could even talk about skirmishes and wars, aggressive energy, going over the top. it does seem to revolve around women's issues and women's safety. It does talk about the needed involvement of doctors, priests, nurses, veterinarians, or teachers to provide care and guidance in some way in that last week. With the things that are going on in the world, I can very well understand this. So keep yourself safe. Yes. Middle 2 days of that last week, Seven of Wands talks about being inventive, being courageous, problem solving, right? So you're having to kind of fill the void for everybody. And that's all these different personalities and ideologies and religious-based factions and gender-based factions. And you're trying to keep everybody happy. And it's freaking stressful. Aries, it's stressful. You're going to have to be very alert. Overcome obstacles. Note the trouble before it happens, right? So it talks about opposition. It talks about taking a stance for your ideas, your belief systems, your ideologies, okay? People are going to challenge you. They're going to challenge your direction, your career, your lifestyle, your belief system, your values, even your religious or your political beliefs, okay? This group of people that you're dealing with in the last week, whether it's a close-knit group or whether it's a familial group or maybe even just an environment, okay? You're going to need a lot of endurance and energy to deal with these people, okay? Because you're going to have to position yourself well and stand your ground. You're going to have to be defensive of your ideas and your values and your ideologies and your way forward, okay? No one's going to disagree that you need to stand up for yourself, for sure. It does talk about changes in plans. They're going to happen. They're going to come about, but they're going to happen a little bit later. It also talks about respect for the earth, maybe even getting involved in farming, homesteading, some type of nature-based study or activity, okay? Farming is a big one. I see a lot, and I have seen this picture in my head so many times for so many signs. I see a potato. A potato is what? Potassium. It's a mineral. There's potassium farming, I believe. I mean, maybe you're getting involved in something like that. Maybe you're getting involved in mining, but there's something circling around minerals, okay? So be aware of that. We are now, where are we here? We're in the middle. We're still in the middle of that last week. Yeah, so Three of Pentacles reversed, okay? You're having a few financial issues, right, at this point in time. You might be having trouble getting the resources you need. You have a bit of a bad attitude. I mean, maybe you're getting a little fed up with everybody, and so you're striking out at people. You're saying, look, if you don't play by the rules, get out, right? That type of thing. You have this bad attitude. You're sick of dealing with the chaos, and you want it to end. And so you're going to go to the gamut. I mean, if it's a fisticuff, it's going to be a wild fisticuff, okay? You're done. You're done with putting up with crap. Now, it does say that perhaps you're going to have to improve something in your life, whether it be skills that you have, whether it be, I mean, maybe you're just learning how to skate and you're improving your skills. Maybe you're into Taekwondo or kickboxing. You're going to improve your skills. You're going to take more training in that, okay? Maybe you're wanting to become a pilot or get your pilot's license. You're going to have to take some skill training in that. Now, these are the things that are happening as you move out of that last week, okay? And then all of a sudden, you have the Five of Pentacles. And the Five of Pentacles talks about a stable situation that destabilizes. A situation that destabilizes. Homelessness. It could talk about moving. A change in your home dynamics. Maybe one person is moving out and that's creating stress, right? So there is going to be a change in your material situation, circumstances, and maybe you're feeling a little bit needy. Maybe you don't have the funds that you need in order to complete a project. And so you're reaching out to your friends, your mentors, and they're saying, nope, we're done, we're done. So you might be moving house, or there might be some needy family members that need financial help. You might have some family members or some friends that are running low on funds, and maybe they helped you out, and so now they're kind of turning to you and saying, okay, look, I helped you do this, and I helped you move from here to there, and I helped you get a new job. So yeah, put your hands in your pocket, I need a loan. So it does talk about someone approaching you for some type of financial help. Whether you do it or not, Aries, that's up to you. But this is the end of the reading. So know that as you're going into the month of October, you have finally taken a stance. It's time to move forward. The transition period is over, and it's time to get down to brass taxes. So I shall see you in the month of October. Take care, be safe, and namaste. Bye-bye.